students. Welcome back to physics class. Okay, so till last class, how the refraction takes place in the spherical lens we have seen. Now we are going to study about the refraction in the lens, that is a lens maker's formula. Lens maker's formula. This is very important question. Actually, using this lens maker's formula only, the opticians they design the spectacles. Not only the spectacles and many optical instruments which uses lens. Okay, for that they'll use the lens maker's formula to get the exact resolutions. Okay, so how to derive the lens maker's formula? Before knowing the lens maker's formula, how a light ray converges in a spherical lens, particularly a convex lens. We know that for a given convex lens, let us take a point object is placed in the left hand side. From the point object, the light ray which is incident on this refracting surface of the lens, and this is the effective diameter. So the position of object from the lens is called object distance. Then from rarer to denser it bends towards the normal, again from denser to rarer away, again from denser to rarer the ray bends away from the normal. So the real image is obtained at the right hand side of the lens. Okay, right. So the real image is obtained at the right hand side of the lens. And this lens have a two spherical surface. The first spherical surface is ABC. So ABC is the first spherical surface of the lens. Similarly, ABC is the second spherical surface of the lens. So from the two spherical surfaces, how the refraction occurs, from that how to obtain a lens maker's formula only our aim to solve. Okay, and here in the first spherical surface, the incident light from the point object that strikes at a point N1. So from point N1 only the refraction occurs. Similarly, in the second spherical surface, the point of incident is N2. And we are well known that the light from the object is coming from rarer medium, that is optically rarer medium, to optically denser medium. This is optically denser medium. Again it gets refracted optically rarer medium. Okay, so the position of image from the optic center is image distance. Okay, so now in the first spherical surface how refraction occurs, we'll see first. In the first spherical surface how refraction occurs. So the first spherical surface is first spherical surfaces ABC. So these are all optically denser medium. So we'll consider this N2. And the light from the point object is coming from optically rarer medium, that is N1. And this is a point object. So from the point object the light is incident. From point of incident to the center of curvature, the first spherical surface have a center of curvature C1. We are drawing a normal. So this is a normal. Okay. So to the normal, the incident ray makes angle of incidence. Okay. Then what happened to the ray? The ray gets refracted because rarer to denser, it bends towards the normal. So the image is obtained for this first spherical surface at I1. Okay. So the incident ray makes angle to the normal as angle of incidence. And this is a point of incident is N1, at a point N1. Then from normal, the refractor ray makes angle as angle of refraction. Okay. Already we know the position of point object from the lenses object distance, and the position of image from the lenses image distance, it is V1. So this is a refraction for the first spherical surface. What is the first spherical surface? ABC. Okay, here the image formed by the first spherical surface that acts as an object to the second spherical surface. Okay, image V1 of first spherical surface that serves as object to the second spherical surfaces. So in a second spherical surfaces, how refraction occurs? We'll see. So in a second spherical surface, this is a second spherical surface. So the second spherical surface, that is optically denser medium, the light is coming from optically denser to optically rarer. So the spherical surface is A, D, C. Okay, and this is the point of incidence, it is N2. So it has a center of curvature, it's inside. This is center of curvature C2. So from center of curvature to this point is normal, and this is a ray, incident ray, that is I2. So this is the actual image formed by the second spherical surface. So this image is formed due to the object of the first spherical surface. What is the object of first spherical surface? That is V1. So the V1 that serves as a object distance, that is object to the second spherical surface, hence image also obtained. So the refractor ray, that is this is the incident ray and this is a normal. So from denser to rarer, the ray bends towards the normal or away from the normal. It has to go like this, but it bends away from the normal. So this is angle of refraction. So in this two spherical surface, so this is a second surface and this is the first spherical surface. In this two spherical surface, we are going to use the relations. What is the relations? We are going to use the relations. This is object distance U, this is C, this is image V1. Okay. So in the first spherical surface, we will use the relations. In this first spherical surface, we will use the relations. The relation is N2 minus N1 divided by BC1. BC1, that is the radius of curvature, no? Which is equal to N2 by BI1 plus N1 by OB. N2 by BI1 plus N1 by OB. N1 by OB. Okay. So which means the light is coming from denser to rarer. Light is coming from denser to rarer, and substituting the values, we'll get N2 minus N1 by, what is the BC1? It is the radius of curvature of the first spherical surface, which is equal to N2 by BI. What is the BI? BI is image distance. BI is the image distance, that is V1 plus N1 by OB. So OB is object distance, that is U. Let us consider this is equation 1. Similarly, for a second spherical surface, we will use the relation. So using the relation in the second spherical surface, we will get N2 minus N1 by BC2, which is equal to N2 by BI1 plus N1 by BI. Okay, that is minus, because it is in the left hand side, so we will use a minus. Then substituting all the values, N2 minus N1 by R2, because the second spherical surface have a radius of curvature, that is R2, which is equal to minus N2 by DI1. What is the DI1? DI1 is nothing but V1 plus N1 by DI. DI is nothing but final image. So final image by the second spherical surface. So this is equation number 2. So we got the two equations. The next step, we are going to add both the equations on both the sides. So we got the two equations for the two spherical surface. So for the first spherical surface, the light is coming from rarer to denser. For the first spherical surface, light is coming from rarer to denser. So the refraction occurs in the denser. And for the second spherical surface, the light is coming from denser to rarer. Okay. So we got the two relations. Now we are going to add the two equations. Adding these two equations on both sides, add 1, 2 on both sides. What you will get? So left hand side you add first. So n2 minus n1 by r1 plus n2 minus n1 by r2. Similarly, you are going to add the right hand side. What is the right hand side? n2 by v1 plus n1 by u, then plus minus n2 by v1 plus n1 by v. So plus into minus becomes, it is minus. So plus n2 by v1 and minus n2 by v1 we can eliminate because it's cancel away. Then n2 minus n1 is the common in the left hand side, so we can take it outside. So n2 minus n1 of 1 by r1 plus 1 by r2, which is equal to, here n1 is the common on both the terms, no? So take n1 outside. Remaining what you will get? 1 by v plus 1 by u. Okay. Now 1 by u, sorry, yes, 1 by v plus 1 by u. Now this is the equation 3. In this third equation, use a sign convention. Using sign convention, in third equation, we will get n2 minus n1 of 1 by r1. r1 is the right hand side, or the first is, it is the radius of curvature of the first surface which is in the right hand side, so it is plus 1 by r2. r2 is the radius of curvature of the second surface, that is in the left hand side, so minus r2. So minus into plus become minus, which is equal to n1 into 1 by v. Final image is obtained on the right hand side, so it is a plus v plus 1 by u. Object is always placed on the left hand side, it is minus v. So minus into plus becomes minus, this we need not mention. Okay. So this equation looks like a Lenz formula. What is the Lenz formula? We'll take and write separately. So according to Lenz formula, we'll write this first. n1 into 1 by v minus 1 by u, which is equal to n2 minus n1 of 1 by r1 plus 1 by r2, right? Okay. So n1 into, this is 1 by f, because from the Lenz formula. From the Lenz formula, 1 by v minus 1 by u is equal to 1 by f. That is, the reciprocal of focal length is equal to the difference in the reciprocal of image distance and the object distance, which is equal to n2 minus n1 of 1 by r1 plus 1 by r2. Okay. Now this multiplication terms, that is the first refractive index, that is the external medium. The external medium you are transferred to the right hand side. What you will get? 1 by f, which is equal to n2 minus n1 by n1 into 1 by r1. Sorry, not a plus, it's a minus only, no? Here it is minus only. Minus 1 by r2. So the reciprocal of focal length is called power. So power is the reciprocal of focal length, which is equal to, this is common for both. So what you will get? n2 by n1 minus n1 by n1 into 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. The next step, see, therefore power is equal to reciprocal of focal length, which is equal to the ratio between the refractive index of this denser medium to the refractive index of the external medium, which is called refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium, minus 1, is a minus 1. So minus 1 into 1 by r1 minus 1 by r2. So this is the Lenz-Makers formula. Since we obtained the Lenz-Makers formula, it's a very simple derivations. It's a very important questions. There is a possibility they may ask these questions in a 5 marks. So very simple concept. a lens have a two spherical surface. In the first spherical surface, how refraction occurs? From the refraction, you are using the relations, so you will get one equation. Similarly, the first spherical surface of the lens that forms an image, so that image that serves as a object for the second lens, hence the final image is obtained. So that is the only thing we should notice. So the image by the first lens surface that acts as a object to the second surface, then the final image is obtained. So there only we have mentioned, instead of U we have mentioned V1, which means the image by the first surface that acts as a, that serve as a object distance. So the two relations you are going to add under both sides. You are adding the left hand side as well as the right hand side. After adding, you will get one equation. In this equations, you are substituting the sign convention. So by the sign conventions, after rearranging, you will get the final equations. So this equation is a lens maker formula. I hope you are clear about this. Next, we are moving to power of lens. So what is the power of lens? Already in the 10th standard we have studied. Power of lens is nothing but it is the ability to converge or diverge the light rays. Even we have a different powers. Already we have studied about the human eye, the refractive defects of human eye. So we are using the different power related lens. Okay, all cannot use the same power lens because each one's power is differ because the focal length is differ. It is due to the various curvature of the eye lens. Okay. So power of lens. Power of a lens. Okay. So we have a two type of lens. What are the two type of lens? A concave lens or a concave lens. A convex lens or a concave lens. For a convex lens, the light is always converge a point, so it obtain a real image. But in the case of concave, the light is diverge. So the convergence or the divergence produced by the spherical lens depends on its focal length. Okay, the convergence or the divergence produced by the lens depends on its focal length. Let us consider the simple case. It is a convex lens. So we assume the light is converging. For a convergent case, we will solve the power of lens. Okay. So there is a convex lens. This is the principal axis. This is the optic center. The effective diameter is aperture. Okay. So the light from an object is incident on this parallel to the principal axis on this spherical lens. Then the ray gets converged. A point on principal axis is called principal focus. So the distance between optic center to principal focus is focal length. Okay, and this is the height of an object. This is the height of an object. This is equal to height of an object. Here the convergent ray which makes an angle. Here the convergent ray which makes an angle to the principal axis is delta. So how can we define a power of lens? A power of lens is nothing but it is the tangent of angle. It is the tangent of angle by which it converges or diverges a light beam converges or diverges a light beam falling at a unit distance, is a very important point. I will explain. Falling at a unit distance from optic center. Okay. So the light is converged in this case, and it's falling at a unit distance from optic center. So here it makes an angle. So it's right angle only, no? So in this right angle, the convergent ray that makes angle to the principal axis is delta, and h is the height of a unit object. Okay. So we can already they mentioned it is a tangent of angle. What is it? It is a tangent of angle. So it is a tangent of angle. So tan delta, which is equal to opposite by adjacent of tan delta is equal to opposite by adjacent. What is the opposite? Opposite is h divided by adjacent is OF. So what will get? H by focal length. OF is equal to, that is distance from optic center to focus is focal length. Therefore tan delta is equal to h by f. Since this angle is small, that is tan delta we can consider as del, and object is placed at a unit distance. Object is unit distance. So h is equal to 1. Then how will you change the equation? Then the equation 1 becomes tan delta become delta which is equal to h is 1 by f. Okay. So this is nothing but the power of length. Hence we obtain the power of length. So power of length is a reciprocal of focal length. The SI unit of power of length is diopter. Okay, already 10th you have studied. The SI unit of power of length is diopter. So SI unit is diopter. Which means the lens whose power is 1 diopter having focal length is 1 meter. That is 1 by 1 meter, which is equal to so 1 by f meter, or f is equal to 1 by 1 meter, that is equal to 1 meter. If a lens power is 1 diopter, then the focal length should be 1 meter. Are you clear? So what is the meaning of the statement? The power of lens is 1 diopter. Suppose the power of lens is 1 diopter. What is the meaning of it? So the particular lens have the focal length which is equal to 1 meter. Similarly, we have a different power. Already we are studied that a light ray may either converge or diverge. For converging case, what is the power, and for diverging case, what is the power? That only we are going to study. In the case of convergence, what happens? For convergent case, let us assume the power is plus 2.5 diopter. Then what is its focal length? We know the power P is equal to 1 by f. They mentioned already the power, it is 2.5 diopter is equal to 1 by f, or f is equal to 1 by plus 2.5, which is equal to plus 10 by 25. So what is the value of 10 by 25? It is 2 by 5, plus 2 by 5 is equal to plus 0.4 meter, because focal length, the power of the lens in the focal length is always mentioned in the meter. Meter is a SI unit of focal length, but in centimeter we can say as plus 40 centimeter. So the lens whose power is plus 2 diopter, then the focal length is plus 40 centimeter. So focal length is plus means the light that converges at the right hand side. So the lens is converging. So which lens converge the light rays? The lens is converging lens. So which lens that converge the light rays? It's a convex. Okay. Similarly, in another one sum, simple sum. Another one simple sum. Okay. The power of given spherical lens is minus 4.0 diopter. Then what is its focal length? Okay. So we know the formula. It is the reciprocal of focal length. Okay. And power is given already. That is minus 4 diopter, which is equal to 1 by f, or f is equal to 1 by minus 4, which is equal to minus 10 by 40. What is minus 10 by 40? It is minus 2 by 8. Minus 2 by 8, which is equal to, there are some changes we have done. Minus 2 by 8, which is equal to minus 1 by 4, which is equal to minus 0.25 meter. So we got the focal length is minus 0.25 meter. In centimeter, the focal length is minus 25 centimeter. So the focal length comes in minus. So if focal length comes in minus means it is in the left hand side. So the light is not converged, it is diverged. So the lens is diverging lens. The lens is diverging lens. Which lens is diverging lens? Concave lens is a diverging lens. Okay. So for the case if the power comes in minus, then the lens is diverging. For the positive power, the lens is converging. So the ability to converge or diverge the light rays depends on its focal length. That only we used to say as power. Okay. The next topic is combination of thin lenses in contact. Combination of thin lenses in contact, because in some optical instruments, not some optical instruments, many optical instruments, two or more lenses may be combined. It may be both are convex or both may be concave, or one is a convex, another one is concave. In some other systems, there may be more than two lenses are arranged. So by this combinations, that is by the combination of thin lenses in contact, how to find the net power. So that is our aim. Combination of thin lenses in contact. Let us consider the two lenses A and B. Let us consider the two lenses. One is A, another one is B. the two thin lenses are in contact in which a point object is placed on the left hand side. So this is lens A, this is lens B. Okay. So the light rays from the point object that is incident on the first lens, then for both the lens the common pole is here, then it is used to converge an image at the right hand side. It is used to converge the image at the right hand side. So the right hand side only the final image is obtained. So here the first lens forms the image I1 that serves as object distance to the second lens, and the final image is obtained at V. So V1 is the image distance for the first lens A, and V is the, what is the V? V is the final image distance for the second lens. So here the V for both object is common, that is U only. According to sign it is minus. In later we are going to use what we have studied in the combinations, the same we are going to use in the combination of thin lenses. Okay, in Lensmaker's formula we use the two surfaces, no spherical surfaces. Same like when two thin lenses are in contact, so both have a common optic center, that is P we are consider. So O is the point object. Since O is the point object, so from the point object light is incident on the first lens, then for the corresponding image is obtained at the right hand side I1. So I1 is the image formed by the first lens A. This lens that serves as a object distance to the second lens, and the final image is obtained here. Okay. So like this combination, how to find the net power? So that is our aim. So now we are going to find image formed by lens A. What is the image formed by lens A? Using lens formula, that is first lens have the focal length 1 by f1, which is equal to, we know the formula, 1 by f is equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u, no? Yes. So 1 by f1, which is equal to 1 by v, that is v1, minus 1 by u. Okay. So this is the first equation for the first lens, image formed by the first lens. Similarly, image formed by the second lens. Image formed by lens B, second lens. Using the lens formula, the second lens have a focal length 1 by f2, which is equal to 1 by v. It's the final image, no change. And 1 by u, but u only we are taken as v1. This is equation number 2. As usual, what we did in the Lensmaker's formula, add two equations. So adding the both equations on both sides, 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2, which is equal to 1 by v1 minus 1 by u plus 1 by v minus 1 by v1. So plus 1 by v1 and minus 1 by v1 we can eliminate, and this we can write it as 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2, which is equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u. So the difference in the reciprocal of image distance and object distance is equal to 1 by f from lens formula. From lens formula, what it conveys? 1 by v minus 1 by u is equal to 1 by f. So instead of this we can write 1 by f. Therefore 1 by f is equal to 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2. Okay. So the reciprocal of focal length is equal to sum of reciprocal of focal lengths of the given lenses in contact. So the reciprocal of focal length is called power. This is the net power. Therefore net power of lens in combination which is equal to P1 plus P2. Similarly, if n number of lenses are connected, like many lenses may combine together, so many thin lenses are connected, then the net power is equal to sum of the power of individual lenses. Sum of the power of individual lenses. This is for n lens system. This is for n lens system. Okay, I think you are clear. So whenever many lenses were joined together, it may be both convex or one is a convex, another one is concave. But for the combination of many lenses, the net power is the sum of the power of individual lenses. Coming back to physics class, the next important topic from the lesson is refraction through a glass prism. So till now we have seen the refraction in the spherical lens. Till now we have studied the refraction in a spherical lens. But how a refraction occurs in the prism? Because prism also a denser medium, optically denser medium. So refraction takes place in the prism. And a lens also act like a prism. We know this is a lens. So in this lens we can split into two prisms and this is like a glass slab. So a lens also acts like a prism in this combination. Okay, so a lens is maybe a combination of two glass prisms with a two glass slab. Now how refraction occurs in this prism only we are going to see. Basically, what is a prism? Refraction through a prism. Okay, a prism is nothing but a transparent glass, okay, that have a two triangle base. A prism which have a two triangle base and it have a three lateral surfaces. So the first lateral surface is this one. First lateral surface is this one, and the second lateral surface is this one, and this is the third lateral surfaces. So a prism have two triangle bases. So base 1 and base 2. A prism have two triangle bases and the three lateral surfaces. So whenever a light is incident on this prisms, then it gets refracted. If you allow the white light, it is dispersed into some colors. Okay, this we'll see later. So a prism is nothing but a thick glass that have a two triangle base and a three lateral surface. And this is the triangle is equilateral triangle. So all the sides are equal. Now how refraction occurs, we'll see. Let us take the glass prism on a white sheet. Okay, so place the glass prism on a white sheet and draw the boundaries using a pencil. So the ABC is the boundaries of the glass prism. So it is equilateral triangle. So all the angles are equal. So the angle of the prism is 60 degree, because 60 plus 60 plus 60, 3 into 60, it is equal to 180 degree. So for a prism, the angle of the prism is always constant, that is 60 degree. Now allow the light on this incident phase. So AB is the incident phase, AC is the emergent phase, and BC is the base of the prism. BC is the base of the prism, and AB is the incident phase, and AC is the emergent phase. Now light is coming from the object which is incident on this incident phase. If there is no glass prism, the light have to go straight. But what happened? The ray get refracted. Okay, from point of incidence. So this is the point of incidence. It is Q. So PQ is the incident ray. PQ is the incident ray. This incident ray that strike the point AB at Q. So from there you draw a normal, that is N and NO, I can say it's a O. Okay, NO is the normal. So to the normal, the incident ray that makes an angle, that is angle of incidence. That is angle of incidence. But we know the concept. From rarer to denser, the ray bends towards the normal. The ray bends towards the normal. Okay. So this bending of light rays from one transparent medium to another transparent medium is called refractor ray. So the refractor ray makes angle to the normal is angle of refraction. But again, from this point of incidence, we are drawing another one perpendicular line. This is another one normal, N PQ. Okay, this is R, N R, another one normal. So again, from denser to rarer medium, the ray bends away from the normal. So this is called angle of emergence. So the emergent ray from the emergent phase that makes the angle from the normal is angle of emergence. If there is no medium, then the ray has to go like this. So both the incident ray and the emergent ray meet a common point Z at an angle, it is delta. This delta is angle of deviation. Okay, and this is a refractor ray that makes the angle to the normal is angle of refraction, that is R2. So we'll write this all the points. Angle I is angle of incidence, PQ is incident ray, and the QR this point of incidence, point of emergence. So the QR is the refractor ray and RS is an emergent ray. Are you clear? PQ is an incident ray, QR is a refractor ray, and from denser to rarer away from the normal, so this is emergent ray RS. And incident ray makes angle to the normal is angle of incidence, and emergent ray makes angle to the normal is angle of emergence, and the refractor ray that makes angle to the normal is angle of refraction R1 and R2. Okay. An actual incident ray and actual emergent ray that meet a common point and it gets deviated. This is called angle of deviation. Okay. I hope you are clear. Now we have a quadrilateral. What is a quadrilateral? AQNR. In a quadrilateral, AQNR, the angle of the prism, the sum of the angle of the prism and angle QNR, which is equal to 180 degree. It is equal to 180 degree. This is equation number 1. Okay. Similarly, in the triangle QNR, okay, in the triangle QNR, the angle of refraction R1 plus R2 plus angle QNR, that is equal to 180 degree. This is equation number 2. Okay, compare these two equations. While comparing these two equations, the right hand sides are equal. Automatically, the left hand sides are equal. These two terms are equal, so automatically these two will be equal. On comparing 1 and 2, on comparing 1, 2, RHS are equal. Therefore, left hand sides are also equal. So from that, the sum of angle of refraction, which is equal to angle of the prism, this is equation number 3. The sum of angle of refraction, which is equal to angle of the prism, this is equal to 3. Okay. The next one, the total deviation is equal to the sum of deviation at the two faces. The total deviation is equal to sum of the deviations at the two faces. This is the deviation at the first phase. This is the deviation at the second phase. Okay. Also, the total deviation, is the sum of deviation at two phases. That is, total deviation delta is equal to sum of deviation at the first phase. Sum of deviation at the first phase. So sum of deviation, first phase deviation is angle I minus R1, and second phase deviation is angle of emergence and to the angle of deviations, refractions. Okay, so this is equation number 4. This is equation number 4. Next, the same angle of deviation. Listen. Angle of deviation is same if angle of incidence and angle of emergence are interchanged. Okay, that we'll write. Angle of deviation is same if angle of, yes, we are of the diagram. Okay, angle of deviation is same if angle of incidence, angle of emergence are interchanged. Then what we can get? So we are going to find now minimum deviation. For a minimum deviation case, now angle of incidence and angle of deviation, you are going to plot the graph that is called I delta graph or I delta graph. You are going to plot the graph between angle of deviation. Yes, you are going to plot the graph between angle of deviation to the angle of incidence. Angle of incidence in degree at x-axis, and at y-axis angle of deviation, that is also in degree. Okay, so it starts from 0. For a different angle of incidence and to the different angle of deviation, you are going to plot the graph. So 0, it's a 20 degree, 40 degree, 60 degree, 80 degree. Similarly, here it is 40 degree, then 50, then 60. Okay, likewise. So first, yes, when angle of incidence is less, angle of deviation is more. So if it is 38 degree, then it is to be a 60 degree. It is to be 60 degree. So here on point, and then when angle of incidence, yes, when angle of incidence is 50 degree, no, yes, it is here, so 50 degree. So when angle of incidence is 55 degree, the deviation is 40 degree. The deviation is 45 degree, and when it is 70 degree, it is still high. It is 50 degree. It is here. So this is a curve. This is called ID curve or I delta curve. But in a particular angle of incidence, the angle of deviation is same. Then it changes the path. So we will get the graph like this. Okay, this is ID curve. So this curve you will be getting while you are doing experiments. So you need not to memorize. So need not to get confusion also, because you are going to perform the experiments. At the time you will get the curve very clearly. So that is ID curve or I delta curve. So in this case, this is a point. Up to this gradually decrease. For the particular angle of incidence, the deviation remains same. So I is equal to E. This is called minimum deviation. So this point is called minimum deviations. So to get the minimum deviation, the refractor ray inside the prism becomes parallel to prism. For minimum deviation, the refractor ray become parallel to base of the prisms. So we are going to use the conditions. What are the conditions? That is delta as dm and angle I is equal to angle E and R1 is equal to R2. Then what you will get? Yes. So the third equations become R1 and R2 both also same, no? That is R1 plus R2 is equal to angle A. So R1 and R2 both also same. So 2R is equal to A or R is equal to A by 2. Okay. So this is equation number 5. So we got angle of refraction. Similarly, the fourth equation becomes, what is the fourth equation? Delta become dm, which is equal to angle I, that we can write it as I plus E minus R1 plus R2. So I and E both also same. So 2I, not 2I, I and E both also same only, no? So in this case, you'll get the value I and E both also same. Yes, I and E both also the same. So 2I minus A, that is delta M. But we'll get 2I is equal to angle of minimum deviation minus become plus. So this you are transferring to that side, no? Yes. Therefore, I is equal to A plus minimum deviation by 2. This is angle of incidence, equation number 6. So we got angle of incidence and the angle of refraction. The next one, we are going to find the refractive index and then minimum deviations. Next you are going to get the refractive index of the prism and then minimum deviation. Okay. So next you are going to find the refractive index. Refractive index of glass prism. What is the refractive index? Refractive index is nothing but refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium, that is equal to n2 by n1, that is also equal to sin I by sin R. Yes. So the refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium is equal to sine of angle of incidence. What is the I? A plus dm by 2 divided by R is sin A by 2. Okay. Since the angle is less, since the angle is very less, so we can, this is the refractive index of the glass prism. Since the angle is less, next we are going to find the minimum deviations. For minimum deviation case, for minimum deviation, the angle is less, therefore we can write it as refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium is equal to A plus dm by 2 divided by A by 2, that is A plus dm by 2 into 2 by A. So 2 to cancel. So A is common in the both. So we can write A plus dm by A, no? That is refractive index of second with respect to first medium. Okay. Next, this you multiply this side, then what you will get? A into refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium is equal to A plus angle of minimum deviation, or A plus angle of minimum deviation is equal to A into refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium. So you want minimum deviation only, no? So for minimum deviation, this plus terms you transfer to that side, then what you will get? A into refractive index of second with respect to first minus A. So A is common in the both. Therefore, minimum deviation is equal to into A. This is minimum deviation. What is the minimum deviation? A you can taken commonly outside. So the refractive index of second medium with respect to first medium minus 1 into angle of the prism. So this is angle of minimum deviation. So from the prism, how refraction occurs we have seen, and then how to find angle of incidence and angle of refraction from ID curve. From the ID curve also we can determine the angle of minimum deviation. So for minimum deviation case, the refractor ray become parallel to the base. The refractor ray become in the prism at the minimum deviation case, this is the base. To the base, the refractor ray become parallel. So in this condition, delta we can take in as dm, and angle of incidence should be equal to, this is angle of incidence, that should be equal to angle of emergence. Angle of incidence should be equal to angle of emergence. Then putting this value, we can determine the refractive index of the glass prism, and also we can find the minimum deviation of the glass prism. Okay, so this question is very, very important. There is a chance for asking this in the 3 marks or 5 marks. So please practice well. And the graph, you need not to worry. The graph is plotted between the two values. One is angle of incidence, another one is angle of deviation. For a particular angle of incidence, what is the deviation? Then you are plotting the graph. The graph comes like a U shape. Okay, from the graph, for the particular angle of incidence, angle of deviation is decreased, but further from the point it breaks down and it increases. So this is the case is minimum deviation case. Okay, so the minimum deviation is found here from the derivations.